Hey guys, Lorenzo, I'm back. It's KSP Next, episode 9. Last episode we sent a man into space. It's about time we sent a woman. What we're gonna do today, we're gonna start off with launching Catherine Brooks to orbit, trying to return her safely, and by doing so fulfilling the contract of a successful re-entry. Now you may wonder, haven't we done that already? Why yes we have, but because contracts have deadlines, pretty tight ones, with the construction timer taking into account the time it needs to take to the time it takes to build a rocket, we have chosen, well I've chosen to verify the rocket's capabilities before actually undertaking the contract. So we're going to prove to the contract lawyers that we can do it in exchange for money. Additionally, we're going to measure how long the consumables last. But first we have a launch. Here we go, Catherine going up on the Thor 7 booster. All's going well until right about now, where one of the boosters fails, sending the rocket into a spin. Fortunately, we have abort modes, and I did press the correct button, shutting down all other boosters, causing it to be a mild somersaulting spin. But because this happens at 70 kilometers altitude, no structural disassembly has occurred, and we can ditch the booster and continue on as normal. Sure, we've lost a few hundred meters per second of delta V, but all in all, the mission is still a go. Catherine pretty shaken, but otherwise makes it to orbit without much incident. Here we see the second stage detaching, and now we're going to spend some time on orbit trying to see which of the consumables runs out first, because the first milestone in crewed spaceflight is to have a living person in space for a day. And there's CO2, there's oxygen, there's food, there's power, and we're going to fast forward time and see which of the resources depreciates quickest. And well, we've noted that it's electric charge. We've spent about 2 hours on orbit now, and the electric charge is about 20% gone, so we won't be able to last another 10 times as long. Easy as that. So we set in descent, and we know if we want to go for a longer stay, we have to at least bring more power. The other consumables looked pretty good. So here we are back doing the re-entry. This is pretty much the same stuff as happened the last episode, and that's the way I try to do it, because that has proven to work. One of the commenters handily pointed out that I'm actually entering upside down here using descent mode, which is making everything a lot more horrible than it could be, causing undue strain onto Catherine's body. So for subsequent re-entries, I know now I have to orient the capsule properly so I can steer and control the angle of descent, which is very handy. Thanks for that comment. Catherine, however, did not get to reap the benefits of such knowledge. Well, most of the re-entry here is happening in the dark, but we're dangling from a parachute, and the capsule has just returned safely home. So that's all the mission objectives achieved. Or is it? One of the contracts is suspiciously missing. And upon reviewing the contract, turns out the lawyers had specified that the successful re-entry would only count for an unmanned capsule. So yeah, we did it twice with a person inside, but that's not good enough. So we have to do this once more. But not now. We're going to send the Tranquility mission. This one was already built, and the new capsule is going on the backlog. Now this rocket is going to the moon, we hope. We've got a important discovery, an important development in the R&D center. We have a restartable vacuum engine, so we're going to test that and hopefully send a payload to the moon. The rocket otherwise is pretty much the same, and the ascent goes off without a hitch. We have well, successful booster separation, payload separation, second stage ignition, which is the new restartable vacuum engine, which is about to happen. So we'll see if that works, and then I'll talk a little bit about restarting engines and why it's such a big deal. But let's first see if this second stage, this moon stage, this tranquility stage, actually functions at all. So it's the first firing of this vacuum rated restartable Kirolox engine. It's got 5 ignitions. We're gonna fire an ullage motor and spend the first ignition. Here we go. It seems to be working, and it's boosting us towards orbit. Now, restarting an engine is obviously a big deal. I mean, imagine a car where you can only start your engine once, or even start your engine once per trip. I mean, most of the time it would be fine, but if you want to stop to pick up some snacks, you're out of luck. So we want our engines to be restartable. And you'd think that's easy. You just throw some more fuel in the nozzle and boom, it will go, right? But it's not that easy because most rocket fuels are not actually hypergolic. Hypergolic meaning that they ignite automatically. You can mix oxygen and gasoline and they don't ignite. I mean, you see this every day. If you spill some gas while fueling your car, it doesn't ignite, and that's a good thing. But if you want to ignite your rocket, that's not so good because you want it to ignite. And if it's out in space, you cannot really hold a match under it. Well, this is exactly what a restartable engine does. It brings some matches to restart the engine. Okay, that got away from it. Anyway, we are now in orbit, yay, and we have a problem. I've charted a course to the moon in the form of a maneuver node that's 1 hour into the future. And whilst we spend the time loitering on orbit, our oxidizer is boiling off. Pay attention to the red circled areas, and remember that we have kerosene in the rocket, which is basically stable. This doesn't boil off at room temperature. But our liquid oxygen is a cryogenic oxidizer, and that's starting to heat up. And if we don't let it out of the tanks, it's going to explode. Well, we don't want to explode, so we're going to let it out of the tanks. But it's not leaving the tanks through a rocket nozzle, it's just dribbling out into space, being useless. So this puts a firm upper limit on the time we can stay in orbit. Now we see our maneuver, well, we can stay in orbit longer, but the time we can do our burn and reach the moon. Our maneuver node requires 3100 meters per second. You can see in the top left that our meters per second available is dwindling frighteningly close to that amount. Now we do have a little bit of leeway in the fact that the ullage motors I brought are really beefy and they add some meters per second, but we really want to light our engine soon. Now fortunately the maneuver node is coming up in about 2 minutes, so we should be able to just about make it to the moon, and for this first time we don't really need any precision, we just want to fly by the moon. Fortunately, we do get remote control of the rocket. I had not planned that out. I really should, because it would suck to lose it over the ocean, having the ideal moment pass. But that's not happening, and here we go. We have restarted the engine, the second allage and the second ignition, and all is working. And it seems, ladies and gentlemen, we're on our way to the moon. There is enough fuel remaining in the tanks. Well, there's plenty enough fuel. There's enough oxidizer remaining in the tanks, and we can start to, well, consider expanding our horizons, going to the moon, verifying the developments to put people there, and sooner or later the solar system will be ours in another like 7 minutes. Oh no, this burn is gonna take 2.5 minutes, and that will burn out the rest of the fuel unless this happens. Performance reduction due to a malfunction, and now a total malfunction. So yes, the engine restarted, but it malfunctioned shortly after, and our payload is not going to the moon, unfortunately. Now, our boffins are crunching some numbers. We don't want to leave any orbital debris here. And upon reaching apoapsis, we found we can use the separation motors to deorbit the stage, leaving it over the ocean. So that's what we're going to do. And while we do that, I can finish my discussion on restartable engines, maybe. Basically, what you do in a restartable engine is you provide ullage in the form of these solid motors that settle the fuel into the turbopumps, and then you can restart the turbopumps, and all you need is a method to light the engine, to light the propellants that are in the nozzle. So basically, for this, in the form of separate ignitions, you bring firecrackers, you bring small amounts of hypergolic propellants that do reliably light, and then you can restart your engine. But that of course is not infinite. When these firecrackers run out, you cannot restart your engine. All that is nice. Unfortunately, this one exploded. Next episode we will try again, satisfy the contract lawyers, and get stuff to the moon. Thanks for watching. See you next time.